Hi, welcome to Two Non-Doctors. I'm Liz Mealy.
I'm Maria Shahada. What is this? Two great sweatshirts.
Yeah. I, dude, I don't know. I've worn this sweatshirt almost every day for like 2 weeks. Like, I don't know if you get into like, you almost pick favorites because
I
I do that to I do that to sweatshirt. I do that to t-shirts, honestly. But like, this is like to the point where like I almost feel like a mom, where I'm like, you're gonna have to wash it at some point because of it. Like,
like, I
you know
don't
what I
want to
mean? Like,
watch
I'm
it.
like, oh, what if it gets ruined in the dryer? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, my other hoodie was like my favorite for a long time, and then I decided this was my favorite hoodie. Even though it's a little bit big in the shoulders, you could see like it's a little big in the shoulders. So,
yeah, this is like an
but
aggressive hood, but that's also why I like it at the same
yeah,
time.
it looks like it's good for planes. Like you could pass out on it.
It's so good for planes. And then also I got my second dose of the vaccine yesterday, or no, Sunday. And everybody kind of warned me, especially is specifically for women, specifically for Moderna, that you get kind of fucked up. Like you get like a short flu version. Like you'll get chills, you'll get a fever. Um, you'll be really tired. Not everybody, but it was a lot of women, and specifically Moderna. So I didn't get a fever, I didn't get chills, but I was very tired yesterday, like really tired. Like we did a bonus, and I was like, I felt like I was on NyQuil when we did the bonus, but I was
Mm.
kind of okay. And then I was like, oh, I need to do laundry because I'm going out of town again. And every cycle, I took a nap. So like I threw it in the washer and I slept for a half hour.
Oh
Then I woke
wow.
up and I put it in the dryer and I slept for a half hour. And then I took all the clothes and I laid them down. I didn't fold them. And then I just fell asleep on my clothes. And I was like, this sweatshirt over my head, like I would cocooned myself. I'm wearing the same outfit I wore yesterday. I was like, this is who I am now.
Oh,
But
muffin.
I don't feel as, I feel like a little like kind of puffy, bloatedy,
Mm.
like I am sick, but I don't feel that heaviness that I felt yesterday.
I feel all that without the second shot or the first shot for that matter.
Yeah, I
Come
knew when
on,
I
UK.
brought
What
it
the
up.
fuck?
I knew when I
God,
brought it up, you were gonna have such
it really
FOMO.
feels fucking awful. It feels like the first thing that comes to mind is like when you're in a large crowd or a wedding and then people are like getting out the door before you and you have to like wait. But
I
that's
was
not a
when
good
they
example.
I was
Huh?
actually say when they get cake before you, like they cut the cake. I'm always like they cut the cake and they take it away and then they make it into pieces to serve. And I'm always like, where the fuck is the cake? And there'll be like one kid walking around with cake. I'm like, how do you get cake?
Oh, the trick to that is you got to befriend a server and just like give them a little tip. They'll find you first. They'll find you first.
Yeah,
The bride's like, how'd you get cake before I got cake? It's just
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah. And how'd you get our names? Like I was like, yeah, I specifically.
um,
um,
it feels like
yeah,
shit.
well, actually, I was thinking about you because I know you're coming back to the US in July.
I thought
And I
I'd
was
have
wondering
been fully
if they
vaccinated by then.
one like will you be able to get it here? Like
My
you
dad's
still have a
already like, you could get it here. I know a guy.
you everybody knows a guy now. It's like you could get one. It's not that hard anymore.
I know
Um
he's so funny. He's like, I know a guy. He's a pharmacist at CVS. Come, you know, you
yeah,
get the
yeah. And he's
vaccine.
just the pharmacist. He's just like, yeah, this is what I do. And he's like, no, he does special favors for me.
Yeah.
Like I lived above this deli for years. And when I was living with Carmen, and we would go get like a sandwich or something, and he'd be like, for you, 250. And you'd be like, thanks, buddy. And then you'd come like a week later, he goes, for you, 350. And you're like, for me, it was 250 a week. Like, why is it increasing? Like, that's not fair.
Was it Carmen that had the joke about how like she didn't get like a discount at all? Like I remember like her talking about that same thing, that like you would get free stuff or cheap things and she didn't.
Yeah, I had a pretty privileged joke, but like it's funny because it's a little manipulated, but it was more that like he would just make up prices. So it's actually you were just like, I would just want to know how much a sandwich is so I have the right amount. And sometimes it would be 250, sometimes it's $4, and you're just like, come on, like buddy, like you got to
Yeah.
just pick a price. Like I don't need it to be based on whatever. Um, but I was thinking about you because I was thinking it's pretty readily available now. Even when I got it, like I had an appointment, but there was like no wait. I was in and out in 15 minutes. I mean, I know it's different state to state, but I even read an article that said like Texas, like people aren't like, people don't want it, which is scary and crazy. And they have more vaccine than desire. So I'm just wondering in July, like, I'm also wondering how long they're going to keep them around. I'm sure like people are going to need boosters. They're going to have as much around as possible because really it's about vaccine hesitancy. So they're hoping that a couple months later, but like, I'm just wondering if you come here and you can get some dosage. But then but
I'm not here long enough to get the second dosage. So, and I don't want to
just get Johnson and Johnson.
Oh, right. Okay. That, like, that one gives you blood clots. So
it doesn't give you blood clots. It doesn't give you blood clots.
I could hear the tiredness in your voice trying to get people to do a vaccine. There's no blood clots.
I know we don't get political on this podcast, but there's this fucking Republican senator that's being like, well, if you want the vaccine, get the vaccine, but why does everybody else have to get the vaccine? And I was screaming at my phone watching. I was like, because of science. I was like, because of science. Like, you're just like, why are the stupidest people in charge of government? Like, it just makes you
If I'm honest, I don't think they're the stupidest people. I think they know exactly what they're doing. But the stupidest people just live and vote. So
but that's the thing.
They go with what everyone's thinking and saying to each other. And then they just echo that. And then people go, yeah, I love this guy. I'm voting for him.
Yeah, but this isn't about money. This is about longevity and living. And like to me, I'm like, you're literally endangering yourself, your community, the entire country, the entire world, because you're too stupid to understand what it means for everyone to be vaccinated. The fact that some people can never get vaccinated because of how their bodies work. Like, it's just like the stupidity.
You are the physical embodiment of that emoji with the explosion above their head.
I was to the point where I was almost embarrassed. I was screaming at my phone like a crazy person. And I was like, I wonder what my roommates think. Like, I mean, I still do Zoom shows. So God knows I've screamed other words loud. Yeah. But I was screaming because of science. I can't. I cannot. But yeah, I do feel a little like run down and just like puffy.
Well, at least you got politicians to rile you up again.
Yeah, no, I really feel like I've been brought back to life. Do we get into
announcements?
Yeah, Patreons. Yeah, thank you for everybody that gives to our Patreon. We are so grateful. We've had a bunch of people last week, and it fills our lives with joy. Where I'm sending out stickers. Where we have early access, we have weekly bonuses, we have monthly bonuses. We have some Patreon Google guests coming on. So if you, I think is it $25? $25, you could be a Patreon Google guest. Tons of bonuses. So thank you to everybody that is our Patreon. And if you want to, there's tons of stuff. Get stuff.
Yeah. And then you can follow us on the socials. We're on Twitter, Instagram. Nope, we're on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at 2 non-doctors, the number 2 full-word doctors, and Instagram, number 2 non-DRS. I actually kind of want to punch the person who took 2 non-doctors, full-word doctors on Instagram. I'm so sick of saying DRS.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, follow us. And if you have time and you feel like it, please leave us a nice rate and review on Apple Podcasts. It helps us out a lot. It helps us get seen. Only if you leave us 5 stars. Don't fuck around.
Don't be a dick. Just don't listen. Which I think, people have done.
Yeah, it helps us. And yeah. And then Liz has some personal announcements. She's excited.
Yeah. Yeah. Buy my book. It was actually really nice in Philly. A bunch of people bought my book in Philly, but then also people had already bought my book, and I was like, send them a book, telling people to read to their cats. It was adorable. So Why Cats Are Assholes, you can buy it anywhere. And then,
did you know that Why Cats Are Assholes is no longer available until June 18th in the UK?
Why?
I don't know.
I'm more mad about that than fucking this stupid politician. What? It was supposed to come April 27th.
It's supposed to be the end of April, and then I just got a message from Amazon, and actually one of our patrons just said the same thing. It's been pushed back, so
because of that canal situation. My book was on that, one of those boats that got stuck in the
yeah, that's what
Pines
happened.
Canal.
Yeah, I got
Queens
stuck
Canal,
in the Suez Canal.
Suez, that's what it was. I was like, my book. All right. Well, that makes me sad for Europe and the UK. It'll come soon. I'll come soon as well. I'm almost fully vaccinated. I can almost visit you guys again. But yeah, I'm touring again. By the time this comes out, I have Brooklyn in June. Me and Maria are in Arlington. I just told my mom that we're going to be in Arlington. She was very excited. She's like, "Can I come?" And I was like, "Yes, I'll pick you up,
yes,
mother, so you
that's
can
what I'm
come."
telling you.
Yeah. I just added Cleveland, Detroit, Fort Worth, Dallas, and Houston. I'm glad I'm vaccinated because, as I've said, Texas not taking it as seriously.
Oh,
But yeah, all that stuff is on my website, and go get tickets. Brooklyn is almost sold out, so get on it. Get on it.
yeah.
Fan mail.
Yeah.
This is a message from 4D Watts on Instagram. He wrote, "Hey girls, I just wanted to tell you that I'm obsessed with your podcast. It has completely replaced music in my car. Every episode you guys say something that really just makes me scream. Yes, that's fucking me. The episode I just watched, Liz said something about how awful it can be to feel self-aware and not have the ability to change. And I just lost it. I'm recently sober from drugs and alcohol, and I'm spending about 10 hours a week in some type of therapy. And listening to you guys be so open and insightful has really helped me open up and take full advantage of my treatment programs. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you both." And then, P.S. Maria, I also have ADHD, and I did make it to the end of your ADHD episode. So, blah. I did a emoji that's like that. This was so nice. This message absolutely made our day. And I'd like to think that even when we're not completely right or accurate with our facts, which we're very open about, we spread joy with the fact that we're doing our best and that we also have issues, and we're just open about it. That's what I've even noticed with my stand-up. Yeah. Just like I've gotten many messages that are like, "I'm fucked up like you are," and I'm like, okay, I'm trying not to put it that way, but thank you so much.
I'm a complete piece of shit too. I'm such a big fat fucking loser like you are. You're like, no.
You're like, okay, well, my therapist told me not to phrase it that way. We're trying to do better self-talk. But it does, like, both in with the podcast and with like stand-up, it's just like, I think in the beginning, you're just trying to connect with yourself and trying to be honest with yourself. And then when you start to be more open with it, you start to realize that by having not been honest, both with yourself or outwardly, that you close yourself off from people. And I just feel like both the podcast and my stand-up has helped me connect with the community I've always wanted to connect with, which is, your childhood is not your fault. The mistakes you make as an adult, you're learning as long as you go. And if you're making an effort to always be a better version of yourself and be there for others and just be always learning. And I think that's all that matters. Like, it's not about being the best, and it's not about being perfect, which I think is what held me down emotionally for so long. I think it's about just the effort and like baby steps of just getting a bit closer to the person that you want to be and you hope to be.
Yeah, well said.
We're just happy that our podcast is like, I don't know, there for you. We're like buddies in your car.
I love hearing that we relate to people.
Yeah. And then even like, especially with the programs that you're going through, I mean, I can't imagine how. I just remember those first couple of years of therapy, always learning something shitty about myself, and just it just being like a lot. Like, I clearly knew internally that I was unhappy and I didn't like myself, but then to find out, like, with this self-awareness why I didn't like it, just felt like even heavier. So it just got like heavier before it got lighter. And I can just imagine where you are right now, which is that you're in that heavy feeling, but it does get better. And by like almost sinking down lower, you kind of are able to crawl back up faster. And we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Googles.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. You want to go?
Yeah, because my Google wasn't really fully formed. Like it started with I wanted to know if like gluten made you look tired because like I always feel like I feel like my eyes are very puffy no matter how much sleep I've gotten, and I figured it was food. And so I was trying to figure out like if it was a gluten. I guess it would be a gluten intolerance. They do say that allergies can make your eyes puffy, and it's usually food allergies, but it could be. But I'm taking like antihistamines, but it could still be that. But then there's a Women's Health Mag article titled "I'm a gluten face. What are you?" and and then so she goes to a London-based naturopathic practitioner, and she's like, so the practitioner in her book, there's a 4-week program that identifies and eliminates foods. So like there's gluten, wine, dairy, and sugar. This is the 4 skin aging triggers. And then I think you did a Google where like sugar, you found out aged your skin as well.
Oh yeah, sugar. Yeah, and I mean that's our
Our
topic
whole
today
topic today.
is
Yeah.
sugar. But yeah, it sugar is like one of the biggest culprits in wrinkles and aging.
I really thought that once I quit drinking, I would stop looking so tired, and that didn't do anything. And so I don't really drink a lot of, like, I don't drink any cow milk. Like I usually drink like oat milk, but like sometimes I'll have cheese. And then like last night I had a pizza, but the pizza was dairy and wheat. So I don't know. But like today I feel very puffy. So, and then this article is kind of annoying because she's like, first I'm a gluten face, then also a sugar-free face. And then she's a no, then she's a sugar face, then she's a dairy face. So it's like, you're all the faces. So what is this article? You know what I mean?
Well, in general, from like when I was like cutting things out of my diet for my stomach and stuff, I learned a lot about there's weight gain in your face, like literally like weight, and then there's puffiness. And there's certain like you after a while you can see the difference in people's faces where you're like that's somebody that's inflamed and that's somebody that's like that's weight, like you ate a lot and now your face is bigger. It's it looks different, and clearly you can get rid of inflammation, puffiness much quicker than you can get rid of weight gain puffiness. I don't know, but that is she is correct that certain foods cause inflammation, which can be shown in different parts of your face and literally make your face bigger.
I've even since I remember like, looking at baby pictures, I've always had like, and I don't think it's genetics, but I've always had shit under my eyes. I think it's genetics that like I've brown around my eyes, but I don't think I mean, I've looked okay before, but it's so rare. But I just want to like look okay. And this camera I have, you can't tell
I was gonna
how
say you look
tired I
gorgeous.
actually look. I know I look fucking beautiful. I don't know what this camera is, but I love it.
Like as you were talking, I was just like, maybe you solved the problem because you look stunning, and you're like, it's all lighting. It's fucking. I have to walk around.
It is all lighting. Like it's so puffy and I guess because I just put myself on tape for an audition, and even with the lighting on me, like I still could see how tired I looked. And it's just infuriating because like I got plenty of sleep, and I always get plenty of sleep, but I still look tired. And I've been trying to drink 8 glasses of water a day. I've been really like paying attention to how much water I take in. I've been like drinking green tea, and it's just nothing seems to work. So I'm like, maybe I should cut out gluten. It feels like whenever I cut out carbs, I shine. My body's amazing. Like I feel light, but it's hard to cut out carbs. It's
Oh
hard.
yeah, we've talked about it a million times. Where I'm like, I'm going gluten free any day now. It's gonna happen. Watch
Yeah.
out, gluten
And then
free.
yeah. And I lost a lot of weight cutting carbs, but as soon as you start eating carbs again, you put it back on times some, and then you fucked up your metabolism, and it's like not worth
Yeah,
messing around with.
and the up and down is so bad for you. So it's just like you have to find something that's maintainable, not something that you can do for like a couple of months.
Yeah. So that's all I did. I read an annoying article about it, and I didn't really
You're like
find out anything.
inconclusive. I always think it's worth testing it because I don't have like a gluten allergy and I'm not celiac, but I do clearly have an intolerance. Like if I eat it more than a couple times a week, like I feel it. Like my stomach gets messed up. I start getting really itchy. Like I have all these symptoms of eating too much of it. So I kind of try to keep it down to maybe 2-3 times a week. But I've noticed, like when I went to Japan, I was having like ramen every day and dumplings every day. And
Yum.
oh, it was amazing. It was so good. But I had to switch to rice-based foods because within a week I couldn't sleep. I was so itchy. Like, and it
Shit.
was like it was like my whole body. I hadn't experienced that in like 10 years. And I
Yeah,
was like,
because we've talked about this before. Because like when you're in Europe, you can actually eat wheat products, but in
oh, I had
Asia
pasta.
and in the US you
And
can't. But I think
yeah,
we import our wheat from the States, the UK.
that makes sense. Yeah, I could see you guys having shitty. Yeah, no, my stomach issues stay when I'm in London. But you guys have like more whole foods. Like if you buy a can of soup, like you see all the ingredients and it's like
Yeah.
real, as opposed to ours, it's like it's all like fucking
I watched
garbage.
a whole program on how they make soup and I loved it. I just loved it. And they just like
Um,
make a paste and then they add in the water and I mean, but all the food was real, you know. It wasn't
yeah,
like here's where we add all the chemicals.
yeah, yeah. I just noticed when I ate pasta in Italy, it didn't affect me the same way it affects me here. Okay, I'll do my Google. It's a very eye centric Google episode, and I feel like I just have like 19 Googles about the same issue over the course of like a couple of months. Like I get very obsessed, which I've always been that person. Like I have a problem and then I get obsessed with it. So I saw a TikTok.
Oh
So
God.
this is how you sound like a moron. I saw a TikTok that you can make your eyelashes healthier if you put Vaseline on them. And I'll say the castor oil experiment that we had, what, like a year ago, I did it for like probably 6 months. Nothing, did nothing. Maybe it
Really?
moisturized it, but it didn't help it grow or do anything. And it kept the oil from it kept smearing my glasses. So I would put it on and then I'd put my glasses on and then I couldn't see out of my glasses. So I had to like windshield wiper my glasses. So
That's
I
funny.
stopped it. But I did do it for a solid 6 months. They really say everything takes about 3 months, and I saw zero difference with castor oil. So anyway, now this isn't to make your
You're gonna
eyelashes.
be 98 years old by the time you figured out everything about your body. The way
And
you
nobody's
like
gonna listen to me because we live in an ageist society. I'm gonna be like, gotta do. And
You're like, I
everybody's like,
finally figured out the perfect everything for optimal performance, and oh, I'm dying tomorrow.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, somebody put my brain in a chip and then put that chip on a stronger body. Okay. So I was just trying to, I saw it and I thought it was like interesting, especially because I've learned more and more about Vaseline. I follow this esthetician that I really like, and she's half the reason I do any of the face stuff that I do. But basically, it says it can't make your eyelashes grow faster or longer, but it can moisturize them, making them look fuller and lusher. And two things I've noticed. So what I do is I put it in the little curler and then I'll just like rub Vaseline on them. And I have to say, it looks just amazing. Like if you're just going for like a natural look and you don't want to put makeup on, just putting on Vaseline, like they're just more defined and they look
Okay.
incredible. But then also they are more moisturizing. And I think I said in an episode, I got my eyelashes permed because they were all like messed up and I just needed them. And it did the work. It fixed them, blah, blah, blah. But I can see that they're more brittle and I'm losing more eyelashes. I'm making wishes left and right. Like it's nuts. Like I'm losing more eyelashes than I've ever lost before. Not to the point where I feel bald in my eyelash area, but just enough to notice that I did probably do some damage to them. So I'm about trying to make them, they were damaged. I damaged them more. I'm trying to make them healthier again. I'm never going to do an eyelash perm again, but it did fix the problem where they started to grow the way they're supposed to again. So I don't know. I think it's doing something, but besides that, it's kind of made me realize like, oh, this is a great, like a healthy alternative to mascara if I want like a natural look as well.
There was a girl I was coaching and she had long, individual, beautiful, but not fake eyelashes. And I was like, what do you do? And
What is this?
I just wish I could remember. I know it was like a sort of eyelash pen thing. It was a product. And she was like, I just bought that. And my eyelashes just like look amazing. But it wasn't like a mascara product. It was like like an
Growth?
oil type thing too. But like I just don't know. I don't know what it was. I should actually ask her. But I
Yeah, you
like
definitely need to ask.
they were like stunning, like to the point where you stop and you go, what? Like can we talk about your
Because
eyelashes?
honestly, one, I'm never gonna invest in fake lashes. I don't want to fucking do it. both the ones that like ruin your eyelashes that you like spend like real money on, or the ones that you just kind of glue on. I think they all look like trash. When you, far away, they look incredible. Close up, you look like you have spiders stapled to your eyelashes. Like I don't like I just don't think it looks good in the real world. And what are we doing? It just feels so weird to be doing stuff just to look good on a camera. Like, I guess more and more now that doesn't matter because of Zoom and stuff. But I just find it so funny that you see a picture and you're like, oh, she looks beautiful. And then I see these people on the subway and I'm just like, it looks so unnatural and weird and like gloopy. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
Are you texting her right now?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that would be weird. I haven't talked to her in like a year, so it would be strange. So I was just trying to see if I could find, like, just by Googling what it was.
Okay, you ready to get into Let's Get Personal? Because we're in the middle of the podcast.
Sorry. Trying to help you out.
Yeah. But I have learned more and more about Vaseline, which I don't know, probably another Google.
Vaseline.
What am I saying?
Vaseline.
That's just my accent. I'm not changing who I am.
You should.
For you.
You really should.
Let's get personal.
Yeah.
Describe someone you can't stand and like why.
You, because doesn't have to be Vaseline.
Yeah, anybody that says Vaseline. We don't have to. I never like
someone I can't stand, but not someone who's
so it
real.
doesn't. Yeah, to me, it's a real person, but you're not giving out names or anything. It's just
pushiness,
like somebody that like you say no, and they're just like keep pushing.
Not necessarily. I sort of this me first attitude. I think it's really common in New York because in New York, like even on the subway, you know, if someone gets up and like say you're standing and there's a bunch of people standing, someone who's sat gets up to leave, like everyone's fighting for that seat. There's no like after you, but like in London in the tube, people like look you in the eye, are courteous and say, you know, like, would you like to sit down or, you know, and I didn't realize that until like a few months into living here. And I was like, oh, I'm just a dick here in New York. Like, that's just what you do. You just get in first. And because everyone's fighting, you know, it's the same way like old like Chinese women like will push past you before you get out of the subway because that's just their culture. It's just you just go. But I think like just somebody who thinks about themselves first and like has like a zero sum attitude. Like if I gain, they lose. You know, hard to be friends with someone like that.
But also clearly it ticks you off just
because you can't celebrate anything because they're in the back of their head are going like, I didn't get that. But you know, it's like the way you talk to me about your vaccine and I'm going, well, I don't have a vaccine. I'm awful, but it's different because it's, but what were you going to say?
No, but it's also like, you can't be friends with that person, but also what I'm hearing, which I completely agree with, is it also is like a day ruiner. Like somebody, you know, you're holding all these bags on the subway and then somebody takes the seat and you're like, you didn't even think for a second that maybe that might be more valuable to me right now. And you should think about others before you like there's, because as you're talking, I have both the thing that's like, here's somebody I'm not going to be a friend with, but this is also somebody that like riles me up and makes me crazy. Just like I said with that like fucking politician that was just like, if you don't get a vaccine, but I get a vaccine, like, what does it matter? Just get a vaccine if you want a vaccine. And I'm just like, like educate yourself before you talk, you moron. Like you're fucking in a place of power. Like this kind of like, I don't know, belligerent moronness that yet you talk anyway, which again I sometimes think is our podcast, but I do some research.
We're not harming people. I don't, you know, but yeah, like
we're also very honest about
it's also that and people with victim mentalities I can't.
Oh my god,
I just can't with.
Which is interesting because I think I lived in a victim mentality for a really long time, and I think the best thing I ever did was create that awareness around it and take the steps. And then also when I start to sink back into it, have to be like, no. We're not going to be this person. We're not going to sit there and
it's different than self-pity, isn't it? It's like victim mentality is just like everything is just like, look what's been done to me. Do you see what's been done to me? Look what it's been. And it's almost like they punch themselves and go, look how I'm hurt. You've made me do this. I'm so hurt. Look at this, you know?
I actually thought about this during the pandemic. I was just like, if I was still the person I was like 15 years ago, the pandemic would have happened, the world would have shut down, and I've been like, why do bad things always happen to me? You know,
Yeah.
like this, like literally the entire world is affected, but it happened to me. This year happened to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people did do that with like, I was on a roll and I was just starting to get things going and this happened. You know, I mean, like, and of course you're going to figure out how the pandemic affected you, but like to not think of others too. Like, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
think of an example where a friend, like, we were talking about something and she was like, and also like, it was really hard for me because, you know, I was dealing with something during that time and it was just like, yeah, but everyone else in this story is also dealing with stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you can't just assume you're the only person who ever deals with anything.
Yeah.
No, no, no. It's hard to like not give specifics, but
Yeah. No, I get it. I can't stand people that can't have like a real moment. And maybe this is like specifically comedy, but like somebody that like I find it so absolutely exhausting that you say something real. Like you'll be like, yeah, I felt really sick yesterday, and they'll be like, oh, probably because you were like hungover, da da da, and then you make a bunch of jokes, and you're like, hey man, I was vomiting for 2 days. Like, if you don't want to have a
yeah.
real moment, then don't ask me how my day was. Like, I think as somebody that has the duality that can make jokes, I love making jokes. It's my favorite thing, but also can have a real conversation. I find it more and more exhausting in our community that like not only can they not have a real moment, but when you actually correct them and you go, hey, I wasn't, you know, I was actually kind of being real, they're like, I was just joking. And you're like, yeah, but you're an adult and you should know there's a time and a place. Like,
Yeah.
and I feel the same way in the other sense where you do tell a joke and somebody's like, hey, that's not funny. And you're like, context matters. Like, we have to constantly, I'm in a comedy club telling a joke, you paid to see jokes, context matters. I will always stick up for that. But then also, when it's a real moment and it's a real place, read the room. In our community specifically, there's just this like always on, always one upping each other,
Uh-huh.
never really connecting. And I find like the friends that I've made are the ones that we can easily like when I meet up like with you or Adrian or Carmen, I'm like falling out of my chair laughing the whole time. It's my favorite feeling. But I've also been able to be like, I'm not okay. And I need you to be there. And during that moment, be able to joke as well. But like there's a connection. And I find more and more I get really annoyed by people that just can't connect. Like
Oh,
they've just made this so much their defense mechanism that they don't know how to do anything else.
I turn off emotionally completely. I can't deal with you're a lot and I can't deal with it. Like people who are always on just I had a friend who's just like everything's fine, everything's great and like always laughy and he's great to like be around because just like a happy like puppy dog of a guy, but like even I heard like when his dad died, even at the funeral, he was just making jokes and making everybody feel better. And it's just like that's someone who couldn't have a real moment. Like maybe he didn't want to in
Oh,
front of people, but
yeah. Yeah,
fuck's
and
sake.
you hope that they have somebody in their life that they can open up to. I understand that some people are gonna only have a limited number of people that they open up to, but I find myself, and I also know the opposite where it's like dumping, where somebody goes, "How are you doing?" and you just dump everything on, and you're like, "Hey man, I don't know you like that." Like
Yeah.
that is equally as awful, where you're just like, this is too much information, and we're not this close. But I don't know. I've learned more and more that like I think when people would be just not able to have a real moment when I was younger, I was like also probably not able to have a real moment and it didn't affect me as much. But as I've gotten emotionally healthier, I'm like, oh, you're not a grown up. Like I'm literally like, you're
Yeah.
stunted. Like, and I go, that's fine. I'm going to put you over there. And you're a person that I can have 5-minute conversations with, but I'm never going to go deeper with. Like, I'm never going to make time for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's just so specific to our community because we are always on, you know, I think our value is bringing humor into stuff. But I just think I want to have real conversations with people. And if you're not able to go there, then I mean, I'm not going to say more than like pleasantries to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's good that you have friends that can be real. Like me,
Yeah.
me always bringing it back to me.
Sponsor time.
Sponsors. Yeah.
We had Blue Blocks sponsors previously. They had a sleep mask that I talked about and I use regularly now. But what they're really actually known for is their blue light blocking glasses. So like for me, I started to notice this stuff affecting me more during the pandemic because our whole life became screens. It was, you know, computer screens, phone screens, you're watching your TV. And I mean, besides the fact that this is our life, you know, whenever I read, because we did all those episodes on sleep, and what did they tell you? They're like, oh, put your phone down. Like, don't look at any screens 2 hours before bed. And I'm like, well, what are you doing for those 2 hours? Like, what am I supposed to?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's when I started to like investigate and look into these blue light blocking glasses, because what it is that you're looking at the screen. It's tricking your mind into thinking it's like sunlight, and you never start to like, as the sun goes down, kind of your brain doesn't start to like shut down and get ready for bedtime. And I think this is what these glasses do, is that they kind of are like, they block out the light, this light that makes you think that it's daytime, so that you can go into sleep better. So I've been using them for a couple of weeks now, and I think it's helping. Like in general, at least makes me feel like I'm doing something active, because for like 2 days I was like, I'm going to read before bed. I have a paper book, I'm going to read. And then I never do. I'm holding a book while looking at my phone. Like I'm like pretending that I'm reading and I'm still looking at my phone. I don't know. I feel like I'm starting to get somewhere with it. Like
Nice.
at least I'm making an effort. We're blocking out blue light.
Yeah. So if you want to get your energy back, sleep better, and block out unhealthy effects of blue light from your computer, your phone, your TV, all of those have the blue light, go to blueblocks.com/2nondrs or enter the promo code 2nondrs for 15% off your order. And you spell blue blocks because it's not spelled like the
Normal.
word blue. BLUBLOX.com/2nondrs, or just use the promo code 2nondrs for 15% off of the glasses.
And free shipping worldwide.
Yeah.
Blue Blocks.
Thank you.
All right, topic time.
Topics.
So topic this week is sugar. It's funny, as I was like doing research and stuff, I was like, oh, I want to do one specifically on high fructose corn syrup. So I didn't actually bring up high fructose corn syrup much in this, but in general, I just wanted to talk about why sugar is so addictive, and then just like what kind of role it plays in, I think at the very least, American society, since, you know, that's our jam. Like we have those like,
get it, jam.
So I'm a sugar addict. I'll be honest about that. Like I went a couple of years off sugar when I was dealing with like candida and a lot of like health issues. So I've gone off it before, and I know how that feels, and we can go into it later. But my whole family's sugar addicts. Like
when I first met you, you had very like, because it was stand up, and you had very protected like face, you know, and your eyes. You would look at people, but there was very much a like fuck off kind of vibe. But you get something sugary in your hands, and I swear to God, your eyes turned into like those lollipops, like with like swirls. Like you just look like you had two lollipops swirling in your eyes. Like you look a little crazy around sugar.
I'm so much happier. It's insane. And I'll say two things. First thing is that like it was weird, like because my parents are sugar addicts, probably more my dad than my mom. My mom has like more control over it.
My mom's a sugar addict. My dad,
yeah,
sometimes he gets into habits, but not like my mom's. Like she starts the day with lemon cake.
Yeah, no, my dad's almost very similar. Like my dad absolutely is a sugar addict, and it's his happy place. My dad told stories. I remember he told stories that when him and my mom were in college, they would get these big vats of ice cream, like big things of ice cream at the grocery store. And the checkout person would be like, oh, are you having a party? And my dad would be like, no.
My mom and dad were at my cousin's wedding, and there was like a dessert buffet, and my mom like had 2 plates full, like piled with desserts. My dad was like, and she was like,
whenever I talk to your mom on the phone, or whenever I hear stories about your mom, I'm just like, she's my favorite person. I think
I don't know how she's not your mom.
Yeah, like genuinely. I feel so connected to her. But it's also like weirdly a training. So even when I went off sugar for a couple of years, once you get it out of your system, you don't have cravings. The cravings go away. The problem is the societal, not implications, but like habits. So there's a birthday, you get cake. You did something well, you get a treat.
Oh, yeah.
So my family, we're like dogs. I mean, my parents are veterinarians. It makes sense. But it was like if you do your homework, you eat all your food, you get a treat. Or what's even crazier when I think about it, my dad would pick us up from gymnastics. I did gymnastics 4 days a week, 3 hours a night. I was like, I was a little kid with abs. Like I was in the best goddamn shape of my life. And he would pick us up from gymnastics. He would ask me how it went. And he'd be like, did you give 110%? This is my father. Did you give 110%? And I was like, yeah, Dad. And he was like, okay. And then we would go to a gas station on the way home and he would get us a candy bar. That's insane. Like
what if you said no and then he goes to the gas station, just gets himself a candy bar?
and that was my dad's habit, to the point where if my mom picked us up, I'd be like, so are we getting a treat? And she's like, I don't know if I have cash. And then we're like paying for candy bars and nickels. And I'm like, really? My dad picks us up. This is crazy. I was like, this isn't fun. Or like bad news. Like I remember, I think it was like either my grandfather or my uncle was in the hospital, and my dad picked me up from gymnastics and he was like, we got to go visit your uncle. And he would get me a candy bar, like afterwards, like, because he was sad and that's how he wanted to deal with it. Like, I see so much of my habits. Like when I'm nervous or sad, I go for candy or some kind of chocolate. When I feel like I have accomplished something and I'm proud of myself, I go for candy or chocolate. Like so much of my reward system and my feel better system is completely tied into sugar, to the point where like I have friends that are chip people. They like chips. Like I have a friend that there's this like, cheddar popcorn that she's been eating since we were 14. And like, I know if she's like, hey, I'm sad, do you want to come over? I go buy that popcorn. And that's how I become a hero. It's $1, but who she is. And like, if somebody came over with chips, like I'd eat them, but it doesn't, unless I'm like PMSy, it doesn't do anything for me. But chocolate, my whole disposition changes. Like, and my niece is 4 right now, and she's a fucking fiend. She's a fiend. I relate to her so much. So they got like candy for Valentine's Day. And of course, like I'm on the counter going through it. Like my sister's telling me a story and you just hear like rummaging. And then of course it's the kids' candy. So I see Scout and I go, Scout, can I have this Twix? And she goes, sure. like she's like thinking about it.
Oh, that's nice that she said yes in the end.
Yeah, but it took like 30 seconds. She's like, sure. And then half the reason she said yes is she's like, get me one. And so then I have to ask my sister, like, hey,
oh, she's smart.
Yeah, she is. And I go, hey, I'm having a piece of candy. Can Scout have one? And then my sister comes around the corner and she goes, last one. Like, you know what I mean?
That's
like
funny.
And I was like, ooh. But like Scout is a fucking fiend. Like,
yeah. I didn't think I had a sweet tooth, but I was like, when I was drinking, I didn't really care about sugar or dessert or whatever. Like I'd hang out with people and they'd be like, we have to get dessert. So we're finished eating. It's just like, okay, like I don't care about dessert. But then I quit drinking, and then like, but you still want to fill that sugar craving because alcohol turns into sugar in your body or something. And I don't know, I think over lockdown especially just sort of built in a habit of something to look forward to. It's just always like I needed like like a candy bar or ice cream, or there's always something at the end of the day, cookies, anything. And it was all like the packaged horrible shit for you. Then I make trays of brownies and it just gets worse and worse. Brownies have peanut butter in them.
I've become more aware of the fact that like needing something sweet after a meal is a craving. Like that is 100%, my body is addicted to it. And I get these cravings and literally, unless I go to sleep, they don't go away. But when I took sugar out of my diet, I was very aware of what isn't a craving is just, I feel sad. I know this will make me feel better. Or I'm at a party, everybody is getting all excited about cake, and I want to be a part of that excitement. There is nothing worse than they're serving cake and you say, no, thank you. And they look at you like, you know what I mean? You go to a baby shower and they're just like, do you not fucking care about me? And you're like, oh no, I'm just not eating sugar right now. They're like, who fucking invited you?
Oh,
Like,
yeah, that's my mom every time I'm home. It's not even a baby shower. It's not like an occasion. It's just, what do you mean no? You aren't you? Are we even still family? I'm just on a
yeah,
diet.
yeah. No, it's I honestly think either being on a diet or, you know, doing something healthy for yourself, like you like honestly like offend. It's also like my form of love. Like my sister, when my sister lost her job, I sent her money and I was like, this is for bubble tea. I was like, don't spend it on something useful. This is for bubble tea, because I know how happy that's going to make her. And I know, you know what I mean? It's $5 a pop. There's no reason to be buying bubble tea when you don't have money right now. But I was like,
Yeah.
this is bubble tea money. Please spend it on bubble tea. I know you need a little pick me up. Please buy bubble tea with this.
Didn't you start running so that you could eat sugar?
That's 100% true. I mean, yeah, that's literally what my joke is from my album. But it was like, and until I got really sick, I was like, if I'm healthy, if I'm the right weight, like if I'm a healthy weight and I, you know, eat 3 meals a day, who cares if I'm eating sugar all day long? And then you grow up and you're like, that's just skinny fat. Like that's just like you're just
Yeah.
doing damage to your body, but you look aesthetically the way you want to look. That's not health. So I'm much better than I used to be. I'm so much better. Like I don't start my morning out with sugar because I don't have like a sugary breakfast. You know, my tea got a little crazy over the pandemic, but for the most part, I was having a glass of water or unsweetened tea and eggs. I try not to have sugar before like 2 p.m. That's my big thing is like I could, after I eat lunch, I can have a little bit of a little treat or a little snack. And then if after dinner I want something, I try to have like just like, you know, like a brick or two of chocolate. It's about not having it in the house. That's the thing is like once I buy a thing of cookies, it will be done in 3 days. There's no slowing that down. It starts to be like, okay, after lunch, I get a couple of cookies. After dinner, I get a couple of cookies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I have a bunch of work to do. I'm going to have some cookies. So next thing I know, I'm having like 8 cookies a day, as opposed to now what I do is I try not to keep much of it in my house, except for maybe like a thing of like dark chocolate. And then like yesterday, I went and got an ice cream bar. Like I went to the bodega, I paid $2 and I had an ice cream bar. So I
Yeah.
have it that day, but then I can't have it every night.
I'll have a craving for a brownie, then I'll have a whole tray of brownies I have to get through, you know, and so
No,
then
it
I have it
does.
like in the morning, in the evening.
And it's like, and I'm excited and I'm happy and it's the best decision I've ever made emotionally. But I am now somebody that has 2 to 3 brownies a day for,
Yes.
you know,
And
so I
that
don't
does make
waste
a
food.
difference. Yeah.
Okay. So in general, you need to know there's a couple different types of sugar. There's glucose, there's fructose, which is fruit sugar. Then there's sucrose, which is table sugar, you know, and then there's lactose, which is dairy sugar. And you know, what's the first thing that most people do when they try to cut out sugar? They go to honey, which I think honey has value, but I think we've talked about it before on the podcast, but just in general, sugar is sugar is sugar. Like it's better to have something that's more natural, like a honey or an agave, as opposed to like a high fructose corn syrup or like, you know, some of these like artificial sweeteners that we now know, you know, in the last 20 years or so can cause cancer and have all these other alternative, much worse issues. But like honey has a lower GI value, which is like basically means that it doesn't raise your blood sugar level as much as maybe like regular sugar. It's actually sweeter than regular sugar, but it's still, if you replaced everything with honey, you're still going to have effects. You know what I mean? Like, especially if sugar is your problem. This is what's interesting. Huh?
What's going on in your background?
I know they're like cutting grass and I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. So the AHS suggests an added sugar limit of no more than 100 calories per day, which is 6 teaspoons or 24 grams. And that's specifically for women. I should research why women are supposed to have less. And then men
because we're smaller?
Yes.
I mean, that makes the most yes. Okay.
It just feels bullshit. Like I want to be like equality. I want to get paid the same and I want to have the same sugar amount. Like it really upset me. And then men is 150 calories, 9 teaspoons and 36 grams. The average American gets 82 grams per day of sugar. So it's 3 times the maximum amount.
Mm.
So, I mean, and that has everything to do with the fact that it's in our drinks, it's in our meat, it's in
bacon.
It's in everything, especially in the American diet, has sugar in it. And you don't realize how it's just everywhere. And the fact that our portion sizes are crazy. Think of like a big gulp of Coke, you know what I mean? Is like, it's bigger than your bladder. It's like, that's insane. But I think, in general, most Americans, unless you're like uber healthy, unless you're like, you know, Tom Brady and his crazy diet of eating Brussels sprouts for breakfast or whatever, we all have some form of sugar addiction. Because, so my mom read a book about it. From what I understand, it started as early as the 50s and 60s. They basically were like, people are unhealthy, we think it's fat, so we're going to tell people to go on a low fat diet. And then it got really bad in the 80s, where when you take fat out of a diet and take fat out of stuff, it just doesn't taste as good. Like, fat is what makes things taste good. So to make things more tasty while being low fat, they added a shit ton of sugar. So now everything has a shit ton of sugar. It tastes good, but that's the reason we went from maybe slightly overweight in America to literally obese. Like, the reason that we have people that are 400 pounds.
Yeah, that and margarine. They were like, butter is bad for you. Eat margarine. Oops, sorry, that's plastic. Everyone died. Our bad.
Exactly. Like, your body doesn't know how to recognize margarine. What the fuck is margarine? These hydrogenated, like, was it hydrogenated
partially
oils?
Hydrogenated, whatever.
Yeah, that's garbage. High fructose. So the other thing is like, now we're just trying to get back to regular sugar, because high fructose corn syrup, again, your body doesn't recognize. It's a million times sweeter. So then now you have even more sugar cravings, because like high fructose corn syrup is like, I think it's 3 times, or it's an extra amount of sugar, so that you always need that amount of sugar. Like, you know what I mean? So you've just made your cravings even worse. I don't know, man. Like, as somebody that's like a sugar addict, and it makes me happy, even I'm like, this is nuts. And I've always been a little scared of getting diabetes, because I've always been like, sugar for breakfast. Like, I think I'm very fortunate that I was always like an athlete in some form. Like, I was a gymnast, and my parents, you know, we ate a lot of microwavable meals and a lot of not so great food, but like, at least forced vegetables into our diet. And I do like vegetables, and I get a fair amount. But I'm very aware of when I want sugar, because like, I like getting a bubble tea. I also love bubble tea. So like, whenever I'm on the road, if I get something done, I'm like, you can go for a walk and get bubble tea. And I make sure I go for a walk. Like, I make sure I have to at least walk a mile, get my bubble tea.
Yeah, I got a green juice today from Pret, and I was like, it's 140 calories, and it's basically all apple juice, and they put just enough like spinach and spirulina in it to make it look like green juice.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, and I walked from where I was going to the next place. It was a 25-minute walk, because I knew I was fucking it up with that. It's like, I hate calories that aren't worth it are the worst.
Oh, there's not, because like I'll get a chai latte. Like, that's like my, you know, so I don't die on the road. Like, my caffeine plus like my sugar plus like I have to drive 4 hours, and I tried to now only have them when I'm driving, to the point where I only had to drive 2 hours when I was in Philly. And I was like, you could get one. And I was like, it's 2 hours, Liz. Like, you don't need one. But I'll go to Starbucks, because I know I like theirs because it's sweet. But sometimes you go on the road, you go somewhere else, and it's not sweet. It's like spicy for some reason, or it's not good. And I was like, well, I just spent $4 and it's not good. And, you know what I mean? And I'm like, what a waste of money and calories. And I was all excited for no reason. Like, I just get so upset about like, or like, have you ever gotten dessert? You're all excited about it, and it's like hard, or it's like,
oh yeah, it's upsetting. One time I told Kat, because she was going into Starbucks, it's like Starbucks or some coffee shop, and she was like, what do you want? I was like, I want a flat white, but if they ask you what size, just don't get one. And it was like the most like,
no,
they don't know what a flat white is. It's like the most high maintenance thing, but like, I know that flat white is going to be shit. So I had the best lemon tart. Okay. Yeah. Go on. So good. Holy, oh my God.
I knew this topic was going to be problematic for us. We're just going to talk about our favorite
I'm
desserts.
gonna have to order that as soon as
Let
I
me
go.
tell you the perfect brownie. Like, I'm just like,
I cannot fuck up a brownie. I've made so many brownies lately, and every tray is perfect.
oh my God.
I
When you
forgot
come
to
and
add
stay with
I
me.
forgot to add flour in the last one, and it was still unbelievable.
And did we do an episode where you put more oil than water? You're like, this seems
Yeah,
like a lot of oil.
it was so good. I think that was cake.
Okay, so cravings stem from blood sugar imbalance. So when your body ingests sugar, your blood sugar spikes, your body releases insulin to lower it to a safety level. And if the insulin brings your blood sugar level too low, often what happens is your body craves these foods so it can rise again. So really you're doing this push-pull thing all the time. And that's kind of where the sugar and cravings come from. Just going to bang out some facts so we feel like we educated people.
Okay.
So in general, what we've been talking about the whole time is so sugar consumption can create a short-term high and like a spark of energy in the body. So some studies suggest that it's as addictive as cocaine, which I've done cocaine twice. I didn't really like it. So a part of me is like, you can't even get close to sugar. Like cocaine, you haven't even tried. Especially when you talk about my eyes becoming like lollipops or whatever. Like there's a part of me that's like, I've done cocaine twice, and both times I like just talked more than normal.
It's not even just that your eyes are lollipops. Your mouth goes open too, like a Muppet. It's just like,
Dude, the best is I'll be by myself. So like sometimes, you're like, I get bubble tea with my sister and we're all like bubble tea and we like have a dance and we're excited. But like I walked a couple of miles, I got bubble tea. I went for a walk. I was looking for like street art and stuff when I was in Philly, but I was like pep in my step. Like truly, I was like, if I wasn't wearing a mask, I would have been that creepy person smiling at strangers. Like
do you think this has to do with that your last name means honey? Like your
yeah.
last name is literally like sugar.
Yeah, I do think it's in my blood. I really do. I wonder because how do you get last names? Because like what are we like? I was about to say bee farmers. I don't know, beekeepers.
No, but I mean, there's even a theory that some people just live up to whatever their names are. So it could just be something like that. I forget what the exact name of that is.
As fuck or addicted to sugar.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Okay, so diseases that can be caused by sugar, because we like to be bummers, increased risk of obesity, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, non-alcoholic fatty liver, and then diseases as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, as well as cognitive decline in some cancers. And then symptoms of having too much sugar is increased hunger and weight gain, irritability, fatigue, this fucking whatever the fuck they're doing outside, I'll kill them. Fatigue, it's like right outside my window.
I
fatigue and lower energy, foods don't taste sweet enough, cravings for sugar, high blood pressure, acne and wrinkles, and joint pain. So I have noticed a lot of these things in me when I was much younger, and I don't feel like as much of this. But I was also on birth control, which sometimes you really can't separate it. It all just feels the same kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And then I'll just say this before we go. There are alternatives. So of course there's the natural sweeteners, which is really just kind of tit for tat. So you have like coconut sugar, which I did for a long time when I was on paleo, which what I liked about coconut sugar is it was almost like tablespoon for tablespoon of regular sugar. Then there's honey, maple syrup, and molasses. But then if you're trying to like actually get sugar out of your diet, there's the alternatives like stevia, xylitol.
Oh, don't do those.
Yeah, I mean stevia is not too bad. It just has like a weird aftertaste, and certain things it just can't.
It gives me diarrhea.
I was gonna say xylitol makes me gassy. Like
yeah,
it's like fine in toothpaste or whatever.
When I was doing keto, I had one of those. I think it was stevia, but it just I don't know if it gave me diarrhea. I don't think I shat for like weeks on keto, but it fucked up my stomach. Oh yeah, it made my stomach go like blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it made it like noisy and stuff. I noticed. I think it's xylitol is the one that just like made me like gassy and weird, and I didn't feel right. And erythritol, erythritol, that one I think also messed up my stomach. Then monk fruit sweetener. Everybody talks about how great it is, but you can't just get pure monk fruit sweetener. It's always with xylitol or with something else. And I just wasn't like, I'm not going to invest.
What about date sugar?
I've done date sugar before. I've made my own date syrup where you just grind up dates and stuff. I think so. That's going to be more natural sugar, like a coconut sugar. Like again, the natural sugars like honey and maple syrup and stuff, it's still just as sweet as the other one. So you still can't go overboard, but at least your body can recognize it.
Yeah, gotcha.
So you can, like, let's say you're on a diet and you're trying to lose weight, you can have fruit and honey, but you can hinder your weight. You can hinder your ability to lose weight by having too much fruit. Like, that's what's upsetting. It's just that fruit and honey and date sugar, it's better for your body and can be processed better than regular sugar, than high fructose corn syrup, than, you know, some of these, you know, whatever.
I gotcha.
And yeah, I think that's about it.
Tell us about your sugar addictions. What's your favorite dessert? Send us recipes.
Yeah, send us recipes of sugar. No, if you have anything that like you've replaced sugar with, that's like, I just think it's such tit for tat. Like, this might be good. This thing is good for putting it in your tea, but this is better to bake with. Like, it's not this one fix all when you're trying to do sugar replacement. So I would love to know if anybody found alternatives that taste just as good, but, you know, doesn't have the same increase, what you've done to help with your sugar cravings. Yeah, just anything that's kind of helped you with them. But you can write to us at 2non-doctors. That's 2 non full-word doctors. We need a jingle.
Yeah.
At gmail.com. And we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.